Gameplan for Good is the podcast that brings you stories of world shakers and champions of change. Join us as we dive into the journeys of innovative business leaders who are making a positive impact and creating a better world. Uncover their game plans for success, discover groundbreaking innovations, and be inspired to unleash your own potential. Get ready for a brighter future in business with Gameplan for Good. Hello, welcome to Gameplan for Good. This is episode 6. Very excited to have Michelle Vogrinec. Michelle, in the morning, it takes me a little while to get started. I'm kind of like a locomotive trying to get started, but I imagine you kind of jump out of bed with a double backflip with a pike. Is that what happens? Like, you just have so much energy. What do you drink? What's your
My secret?
What's your secret? By the way, Michelle is the former co-founder of GAIA Natural Baby Skincare. So I just want to introduce that big, claim to fame. But
My claim to fame.
yeah, anyway, energy.
I am a very vivacious person. I don't actually jump out of bed in the morning. I spend the first 25 minutes of my morning meditating, actually, and
fantastic.
Dropping into my zone. And then I get up and
Yeah.
I like quiet in the mornings, actually.
Okay. So where does is this just a personality thing, the energy?
I think so. I've always been like this, actually. I'm a fairly free-spirited, very like to enjoy things kind of person. So I've always been one to make sure I do that. And I drink water, which astounds a lot of people because they're kind of like, do you drink alcohol? I'm like, you don't need to add alcohol to this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine sort of adding that in? But no,
And you're not a coffee drinker either.
No.
Right. Wow. Just naturally, I guess, water's the secret.
Water's the secret. Good.
All right. So now we want to dip into, obviously you've got a 30 years in marketing, 20 years in business. We want to talk about GAIA and how you how that came about. Like, how did you start that? How did you grow that, scale that, market that, and then your exit on that? If you could give me the nutshell.
So we started GAIA Natural Baby Skincare because we had a child with eczema and we didn't have a lot of options for his skin. I did some research and found that there were a lot of products out there that had chemicals and different ingredients that were actually contributing or making his eczema worse. So I set about doing skincare blending courses and learning aromatherapy and learning how to put stuff together. I was terrible at cooking skincare, might I add. So, but we had
I
some
didn't even
success
know
with it.
you cook it.
You do.
Okay.
You cook it like a cake.
Okay. Cool.
So it's like a cake, putting a cake together. You know how the cake never rises? Yeah, that was me in skincare. But what happened was we found that Josh's skin had actually improved, and the more people I spoke to, they had said, oh, my sister's child's got eczema. Oh, like there was always somebody that had a child with problematic skin. So and I was pregnant with baby number 2 and thought I can take on the world. So decided to put a product out there, and we put it through a commercial manufacturing facility to start with. We got help through all those things, and I was out on the road pregnant trying to open up pharmacies. I did my research on where parents go for information and what they want to do. So I'm a fairly strategic person, so strategy for me is really important. And opened 90 pharmacies in like 3 months or something along those lines, going out without a single relationship with a pharmacy. So we knew that we were definitely onto something, and then it just grew and grew and grew. And so over that course of time, we put strategy together on what we were going to do and how we were going to do it, and built a team, and across the course of time changed that strategy around, and just continually review and revised everything as we were going along, and to a point where it was in Coles, it was distributed in over 5,000 places across Australia plus around the world, and kept scaling until we sold it in 2019.
Yeah, wow. And what was it? Getting into the marketing. What was it in? Because obviously you did the legwork, you did the networking, but what was it in marketing that really worked for you at that time? And what time period are we talking about?
So from the get-go, I have a naturally gifted business and marketing brain, which is ace because it does help in these circumstances. But what I did was I wanted to speak to parents, and I wanted to be in front of them to understand what they wanted out of skincare or what they wanted for their children. Yep. So I launched through the Parents, Babies and Children's Expo, where I could actually be one-on-one with parents in a way that they give you feedback that's honest and not in a peer, group where they've got to answer questions that are very much geared down a certain path.
Yep.
And from there, I talked about my story, and I talked about being relatable. So I was a mum. I was overweight. I didn't sleep. My second baby did not sleep. So I could relate to people, and I made sure that came across, and I made sure that we could connect with people via our story. And that story was quite, you know, the backbone of our brand. And mums really started connecting with that and sort of connecting with me at Expo and saying to me, oh my gosh, you know, you're here. And I'm like, yeah, well, I want to talk to you. I want to know what's happening in your world so that I can provide you with more products and things that you need to do, you know, to look after your child. And so market research wise, you know, went through that process, and then I had a look at where the people were. Yeah. And then, you know, sold a feeling. You sell feelings. Don't sell the product. So we sold baby soft skin and bath time fun, not baby bath wash or baby moisturizer, or it was about baby soft skin and those types of things.
What, if we drill down, what were how were you creating or helping your potential customers get into that state ready to buy? Like if you're selling a feeling, what's the chemistry, what's the secret sauce, the chemistry to getting
wow, that's
them
it.
in the right
that's
state
like,
for that?
That would be probably taking something apart into about 20 different pieces. So we made sure that we got them from the moment they were pregnant. We made sure that we were in front of the gynecological officers in every magazine. Small often was always my thing. Like, I want to be everywhere that somebody is with the story that we had. Yeah. And from there, we then had a look at distribution methods. Where are the people? Where do they shop? Who do they go to for advice? So they went to the pharmacy. So that was why we started with pharmacy, because they want the pharmacist's advice. So we went down that path. We educated the pharmacy assistants so they could then talk to the parents. Yep. We had a hospital rep who educated the hospital system and the healthcare system about our products. So when somebody went into the hospital to have their baby, they only were ever given one choice of what they could use on their baby in the hospital. Well, we provided sample sachets to the hospital so the mums then had a choice. It's about choice and giving people options. And we never said we were the best, you know, this is it, this is all you should use. We were about choice, and we advocated that with our people as well, and said to them, this is what we've got for you. If this doesn't work for you, we'll try and find something else that does, or we'll point you in a direction, we'll try and help you. So from there, we then were wherever parents were. So wherever newborns were, it was prior to social media, actually. So so we joined.
Yeah, but the
principles
principles still apply, obviously, now.
Applies.
Yeah, 100%.
So making sure, but people think now, I'm just going to open a shop on Instagram and it's going to sell. And it's like, well, no, how do you tell people you're on Instagram? How do you bring people into those spaces? And what do you have to do to spread that omni-channel of marketing so that people can find you in multiple locations to then go to your website or then go to your Insta store or want to hear more about you. And we didn't really sell our products online. Yeah. So, or when we were in promotions, we didn't sell the products, we sold the feelings. We sold that side of things, and we did everything. The experience of working.
Yeah, but
with
that
our
starting point of listening, I think that's absolute gold. Like, even for now, there's obviously the behaviours of the buyers, and the buyer's journey's changed, obviously, but that the whole thing. Okay, well, what are they saying, and what do they want, and what's frustrating my potential customers,
and how can I tap into?
Yeah, exactly. So that's absolute gold. I want to move on because because there's so much here that we can dig into. So after Gaia, what was next for you?
I didn't actually know. I remember handing over all the things I had to hand over, and I was out of there immediately. So I think I had a month to hand over. And I remember waking up on the Monday morning and there was no emails, there was no social media, there was nothing, and there was a deafening silence. And I was like, what am I going to do now? And I really didn't know. So then I had people calling me. Yep. Hi, I know you're not doing this anymore and you've sold Gaia, how exciting. How much is it to work with you? And I'm like, okay. So then I kept getting these phone calls, and then I was talking to people, and then I was talking to someone else who said, you really should do this. And I'd mentored people voluntarily for the last 10 years. So, and then I thought, okay, we'll give this a crack. Yeah. And I kind of went into that space of going, all right. And I had clients just coming to me. I didn't have to do much to get them. So, and I really loved what was happening. And I joined a few masterminds to sort of work out how do I, structure all this. And then I realised it too, that a lot of that side of things was very template driven and system driven. And being a powerful little dyslexic, I was not going to go down that path because it was never going to work for my brain.
Yeah.
So decided to package something up that was actually more geared at people that needed to get down into their business, understand what it's about, the nuts and bolts, the foundations of it, and enjoy working in it, as opposed to just going, just follow step 1, step 2, step 3, and you make $1 million, yay!
Yep.
Which is what you see in social media so often. I didn't
but
want to be
you could make so much
person.
money if you sold that as an online course.
Money's
3
not
steps
my
to become a
driver.
millionaire in
Exactly.
in 1 month. Yeah.
Money's not my driver. It never has been.
Right.
My driver is, I've also I coached my son's soccer team. I also coach fighters. Actually, I'm a black belt in karate, and I used to fight. I was a professional fighter.
Cool.
So what I love is that it's called vicarious joy. So you watch this kid you've been working with for the last 2 years on stopping a ball and knocking it on. And then one day in the game, he stops the ball, he knocks it on, and he gets an assist and he gets a goal.
Yeah.
And this kid's face, and you go, shit, I was part of that. That is why I do it, is watching that moment. So that for me just fills my cup.
Yes. I can 100% identify. I haven't shared with you my purpose, which is about launching young people who are talented and motivated.
Nice.
That's part of what I want to do. So, and I've done that with a few people. Like I have a protege photographer who's very talented, but and also my own children. I've got 2 talented girls.
Yep.
So I look for opportunities to try to give them, opportunities just to express what they do well. And build on their careers.
Yeah, I love that.
But when you see them actually achieve it, when I saw my protege's website go up, and I saw that she had landed some weddings, and I saw that I gave her a challenge of networking with people, and within 10 minutes, networking to find work. Within 10 minutes, while I was talking to her, she was on her phone. She had contacted. There was one of her contacts, a friend in Melbourne, who happened to have the control of the budget for one of the universities. And I'm like, who are you networking with? And anyway, while I was talking to her, she lined up 3 event photography jobs for events.
How good does it feel?
So it just feels amazing. Yes. Like it just lifts you up and you're like, wow. So what did you call it?
Vicarious joy.
Vicarious joy. So
yes.
I've
living
experienced
vicariously, watching the joy of others through that, and that lights me up as well. So, and there's so many business owners that go into business and they have this romantic notion that I'm going to do this, it's going to look like this, and I'm going to put it on Instagram, and it's all going to be wonderful. That's just not the reality. And the reality is it's fucking hard work. And you go up and down the roller coaster, and you've got to be able to ride the wave. And if you can't ride that wave, and the wave's constant, it doesn't stop, then go and get a job. Don't go into business. But for those that are in business, I want them to have the skills to be able to tackle what comes at their way. I want them to be able to understand that, you've got wholesale, or you've got this going on, and I'll talk from a product sense. So you've got wholesale here, you've got distribution here, you might have logistics over here, marketing here, accounts here, customer service, all these branches they don't think about, and how they can actually structure this over time to support their life as well. So, and I remember when I sold GAIA, and I'd achieved so many things that so many people want in life, and it didn't fill me up like I thought it was going to. So I want people to be able to enjoy their business life, enjoy their life, and blend the two together. And people sort of say, don't mix business with pleasure, which I think is a load of shit. You should actually blend your business and your life together because they are so important to you. So let's create a work-life blend that works for you and that you can actually roll with for as long as you need to. And business owners don't understand money. They don't understand profit margins. They don't understand return on investment and all these sorts of things. And they don't understand that side of things. So working with them to get down in the mud, it's kind of dirty work, to get down in there and say, well, this is how it's going to look and feel, and this is what you need to understand. It's not easy. And that's where there's a reason there's only 4% of businesses that actually survive past 3 years. And I want my clients to be part of that 4%. And I want them to come out the other end and go, well, what now? Where do I go from here, and how do I structure this so I love my life and I love my business? And having being in a situation where my health suffered during my business time, having an adrenal meltdown and really getting quite unwell, I just want others to create the business and life blend that will light them up and keep them going for as long as they need to.
Right.
So,
If a business owner, because it's quite easy in business to get stuck in the nitty-gritty of everything and suddenly feel unsatisfied and unfulfilled and with your nervous system working overtime, what do you what suggest? And I know it'll be a case by case scenario, but in general, what can a business owner do if they do feel like they are stuck? What is the first thing that they need to do in order to get unstuck?
Stop. So when you stop and you actually take yourself out of a situation, I often say to my clients, don't make permanent decisions with temporary emotions. Get yourself out of the situation, go and do something that resets your brain and your nervous system, and then come back to it and map it out. And you'd be surprised and that might take a week to do. So, and I'll say to them, I don't want to make a decision just yet. Let's map it out. So let's just put your thoughts down one day, then the next day put them down again, and then the next day, and then the next day. You'd be surprised that over a course of a few days how those thoughts change, but then there's patterns that emerge, and then we start playing with those patterns. So regulating your nervous system, developing grit. Like grit is an underrated thing that helps you roll with life and get through life. And I think it's the biggest gift you could give your children and yourself is the ability to develop grit and to navigate hard stuff. We don't like being uncomfortable. We don't like uncertainty as people, for some reason more so these days, but being okay with uncertainty and being okay with discomfort, being comfortable.
Sorry. Is it deliberate noises? No. Okay. By the way, Lane Burdett, I love you to pieces, my friend. Producing over here, he introduced us. I gave him a shout out in the last episode as well. I should give him a shout out now as well. And he just needs to.
Over there.
Yeah. Look, we just have to show some grit and put up with that background noise.
But I think, but the grit factor, being able to be getting comfortable being uncomfortable is the biggest thing I have learnt in the last 3 to 4 years that has served me so well in so many situations in business and in life. And when we are going, all right, this is happening, what do I need to do? As opposed to having a meltdown and your nervous system having a complete shutdown and whatever else, when you have the ability to go, what do I need to do with this? It's amazing what you can achieve. And as I said, I think that's the biggest gift we can give our children and ourselves is the ability to deal with uncertainty, to develop grit, and to deal with hard shit. Like it was a real wake-up call for me that life was never going to be easy. And you hear that as a bit of a cliche, but it's so true. Life is going to have ups and downs, and we just need to be able to roll with those. And if you can roll with those, I think that you can build a business and you can do anything. If you don't have the ability to do that, you're going to find business really, really a lot harder than it used to be. I think it's Buddha that says, you can, pain is inevitable, but suffering's optional. Yeah. So how much we suffer is up to us.
So grit for you, like how did you, what was it that gave you your grit?
Karate gave me grit. So being pushed as a fighter, I'm a full contact fighter, so we smack the shit out of each other. It's so cool. but having the ability to push through and things that I never thought I was able to push through. Some of the hard stuff that occurred in GAIA, we had a lot of legal battles that we dealt with that just about broke me. And having the ability to actually stop and get through those, it's like a muscle. You kind of have to do it to build it. Yeah. And avoiding those hard things is not going to help. So just developing that over time, learning to regulate my nervous system was a really big deal for me. I had very severe anxiety for a while there. So
and you do that at the moment through meditation?
Yeah. So
and still martial arts?
Yes, still martial arts. I teach as well and I coach.
Wow.
I do breath work now. So I'm now learning. Did you know, this is a fascinating little stat, that 90% of people breathing is dysfunctional. due to trauma or things that have happened as children. So I am in the process of doing breath work at the moment and relearning how to breathe optimally. So breathing techniques, they talk about, you know, what do they say to you, someone that's really anxious or upset? Breathe.
Yeah.
So, but taking that to the next level. So I'm doing breath work, I do meditation, I do cold exposure, so ocean dips.
Yep.
It was very cold last weekend.
Good.
Those types of things help with your nervous system. They talk about cold showers and things like that. They help with your nervous system. So for me, I've learned a lot more about your nervous system, about your brain. So when you go into fight or flight, your amygdala hijacks your brain and you're unreasonable. That's simple as that.
The lizard brain.
Yes, and you can't reason with an unreasonable person.
Yes.
So
and two unreasonable people definitely can't reason.
Fuck no. But what I love is being able to tap into those things with my clients.
Yeah.
So I've done a certificate in art therapy as well. So I paint and draw.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And I'm now doing mindfulness art exercises with people, which takes 5 minutes. But a lot of the people I've been starting to do this with are saying, wow, it takes me 5 minutes to do this and I've actually now really calm in a situation where I've been quite stressed. So learning all of those little things really does make a difference to your ability to actually roll with what's happening as well.
Yeah, amazing. That's awesome. There's so much in there. Now, so what are you doing at the moment?
So at the moment, I'm a business and marketing strategist. I have one client that I do the strategy work for, and then on the other side over here, I actually coach businesses, coach, mentor, and support businesses in that space. So I help them and break apart where they are at their business, where they want to go, and I work the gap.
Yeah.
So we work out how we go from there to there, plus provide education and information on their money. They've got to know what the sums are. If you don't know your numbers, go and get a job. And also working through then, so numbers, marketing and structure. Habits form such a big part of life, business success. So talking about habits and looking at ways that we can create better or habit stacking. If you've ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear, amazing. I think everyone should be given that at birth, that book.
Okay.
Really cool book. So it habit stacks, and it talks about not going from 0 to 100, instead creating small incremental changes that are sustainable for you to maintain.
Yeah.
So looking at those different things, but also looking at a person's brain and how they process information and how they actually work optimally with the way their brain works. So we have a lot of neurodiverse people where brains work quite differently. Mine does. I'm a dyslexic, so my brain works in ways that other people just look at and go, what the? So working with people so they get the best out of how their brain works and how they can structure systems and
so it's like
support
it's their life as well. Like it's like
100%.
You wouldn't call it life coaching, but it's as it relates to business and the performance of the business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the foundations, and these are the things that are not talked about. Everyone has that romantic notion. This is the under the ground stuff, and this is the stuff what makes businesses successful. And if you have a look at successful business owners, the famous ones, the not famous ones, there's underlying things that they all do. And the foundational work, meditational work, those types of things is what they all do. They invest in themselves. So I'm really big in investing in myself and making sure that I'm improving so that I can pass that on to others. And the people are now saying to me, you're kind of more of a life strategist than I'm not a life coach by any stretch of the imagination, but I am a strategist. I am somebody that actually treats my life like a strategy.
Yeah.
I treat my life like a business. I break it apart and I do exactly the same thing in all the various areas as I do as a business.
Yeah.
And helping people through that, I've been working with several clients for more than 12 months and watching them now send me a message and say, oh my gosh, this happened today and this is what I did to fix it and this is what I'm going to do going forward and this is how this is going to work. And me going, oh wow, like they got their shit together.
Yeah.
They've actually
So the first thing you said was like stop.
Yep.
That's the first thing. And then this next is pull it apart and
gather data.
Get clarity.
Yes.
Get clarity. And then what's next?
So gather data, look at your data. Data always is the thing you utilize rather than putting something, like we always add 1 and 1 and get 10 and then suddenly go, well, that looks like that. There's a perception associated. Stop with what it looks like.
Feelings attached to it.
Feelings attached to it. Look at the data. What is the data telling you? Let's work with that. Don't attach a story to it. Let's work with what the data's telling you. Get to the next step. All right, what are the options now that we have to actually make that, pull that apart?
So I'm so sorry. I didn't turn off the vibration.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was.
Let's keep rolling.
Let's
Let's roll with it.
Let's roll with it.
Yes.
Yeah. So making then and having a look at the options. So we'll map it out. We'll map it out. I have
Right.
3 boys. Farting in my world is pretty normal. That sounds like
That
my
was
3
my
boys.
phone.
Now I'm going red.
Oh my gosh. Go away. Sorry about that.
There was a no fart zone in my car for a while there because my voice was shocking. Anyway,
Yes.
part of life. But no one's farting, by the way. It's just the vibration of the phone. I'm going to move on now. But yeah,
Although I was
so
trying to.
I'm going bright red.
This is going a different direction.
It's okay. Let's roll with it. But so mapping that out, so then actually starting to have a look at the options. What are the options? Let's put them all out there. And then we'll start selecting what we can do with what we have now.
Yeah.
If we can't do what we want to get to, let's have a look at what we've got now and what we can work with.
Yeah.
And then we go the next step. So it's stacking on top of each other as opposed to going 0 to 100.
Yeah.
It's a process and you can't skip the steps.
Yeah.
So taking them through a step-by-step process as each thing emerges.
Yeah.
And then we re-strategize. So, you've constantly got to review and revise your strategy.
Yeah.
And it might change direction depending upon, circumstance, environmental, family, COVID. You've got to be able to be fluid with the way in which you work. So having goals is awesome and understanding where you want to go, but being fluid on the path on how to get there is really important.
Yeah, and even like having vision.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
important. Like the big, hairy, audacious
Yep.
goal, having that is like, that's essential
Yeah.
because you're not going to start.
You got
with
to know where you're
anything.
headed. You got to know where you're headed.
But then the
the
trap
pathway.
I'm imagining is that you can just be fixated on that and not really know
Yes.
what you should actually be doing next.
And the hard part is too that people compare themselves to other people in business, and I'm
Right.
like, put that shit down
Yeah.
because you only see this much of somebody's life, a teeny tiny remnant of what's going on. You don't know how much money they've spent on social media. You don't know how long they've been pushing it. And people used to say to me, oh my God, your products are popping up everywhere. Suddenly I'm like, well, that overnight success took 17 years.
Yeah, wow.
And so people don't know the behind the scenes. So get rid of that comparisonitis and just focus on the goal. There's the goalpost. I want the ball through the goalpost.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit where the players are, the other competitors, but I want the ball through the post.
Yeah.
It's important to know what's happening out there and take inspiration from others, but know where you're headed.
Yeah.
And that path will change. Like it'll, and just go with where the paths go.
Awesome. So you mentioned in our pre-chat you're working with some high-end, you're doing some high-end coaching?
I will be, yeah.
Or
So
will be?
shortly I'm
Yep.
moving into a new space where I'm working with some high-end business owners that are looking at their wealth journey as well. So most business owners don't have a look at what happens to their dollars and their wealth, their personal wealth over a period of time. So having a look now at educating business owners on understanding the tax system, on understanding what options are available, understanding how to break up their monetary component into several sources. So they've got several sources of income for when they do decide to sell their business or at the end of their journey. It's a long haul. It's not a 5-minute exercise. It's very rare that someone sells a business within 2 years and makes millions. So it's a long journey. Let's have a look at how we can structure that so that they can then create wealth down the track.
Yeah.
So and not
Is
get
there
to
any
the end of
advice
it.
you can give on that at the moment, like right now?
That's
just a little bit.
That's a
like
little
I'm not
bit.
telling you to give away all your
No,
IP
no, it's all
at
fine.
all, but
have a look at what you can do and where you want to go and get a team around you. And we play soccer, we play footy. There's a multiple, like it takes a village. There's a multitude of people involved in the success of a footballer. It is not one footballer.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
multiple people involved. I have 6 people involved in my wealth journey. So I have my financial planner. I have a real estate person because I'm in real estate as well. So I have my accountant. I have a mortgage broker. I have a, what else is there? There's like my property manager. Like there's all these people that are involved in the success of my journey.
yeah.
So it's not something that I can handle by myself. Get the right advice from the right people who are doing it themselves. Let me say that bit again.
Yeah.
Not from people that are saying to you, no, don't invest in real estate or don't invest in shares or don't invest in that aren't doing it themselves. Get in with the people that are on the ground doing the work and it can show you from experience what they're doing and how to take that further. So that's kind of a space I'm moving into at the moment, which is really exciting. And it's going to help business owners create such great wealth systems. And when we say wealth, it's not just about money, it is about life and the quality of life that you lead and where you want to live, like, and how you want to live, not necessarily just about the dollars.
Yeah, awesome. Exactly. And I don't know if I can ask this question, but are there some success stories, some businesses and people that you've worked with that you can talk about?
Yeah, there's definitely. So one of them would be Nat Choprasert. So Nat is now named Brand Nat. So Lane would know Brand Nat. Nat used to own Life of Char tea. So Nat came to me with, I want to work with the tea company and I want to make it go here. And I just want to do wholesale and all the romantic stuff. And I'm like, are you prepared for what you've got to do?
Yeah.
And then while we were talking, she has this brain for automation and systems and tech. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. She said, yeah, I think I might want to work with this stuff.
Yep.
So we went from taking her business, selling her business, to moving into the tech space, and now she's a tech and automation content creator.
Yeah, wow.
So
the evolution.
Evolution. And back over here, when she started talking to me, she sort of really hadn't thought about it. So now she's doing great guns in that space. Another one would be Stevie Lee. So Stevie has just opened her little pop-up cafe. She has a cafe in Belgrave called Grumbling Goose, which we've now structured a little bit more with her staff. We've put in all of her OH&S manuals, all her manuals for her staff, so they know exactly what's happening, how it's going to work. We've got systems and processes together, the marketing side of things together, and we've now just opened up this pop-up in Burwood, so in the Brickworks in Burwood. Jump down there and have a look. So Grumbling Goose at the Glass House in Burwood.
Yep. Lena like that. I know we're picking on Lena a lot today, but
it's beautiful little cafe, and we've been able to hone in on exactly what it is that makes her brand, take her to that next level and get this functioning, and so that she's not doing as much work in the business as well. And she's now doing a lot more of what she wants to do, and the business is running like really, really well. So there are two people that
awesome
I've worked with.
And so what can you is there a moment in your life, and I know that you're on this journey, but is there a moment where you just had the ultimate amount of satisfaction from your work in business? Like, what was the moment where it was just like, I have to pinch myself, this is actually real?
Ooh, there's been a couple of those moments, and it wasn't, one of them was, winning the Casey Business Award was really big for me, because was quite a surprise that we actually won that, because I've always just been head down, bum up, doing what I love.
Yeah.
And it was after we sold the business that I actually had some concept of what we created. And we created a household name, and I really wasn't that aware of it until after we sold, and that's when I started to sort of go, holy shit, what did we do? And then again with the clients that I'm working with now, just when they're so I offer support. Most of them, it's like a walkie-talkie system that they can message me during the day when they have problems, and that's when people need support, is when they're going, oh, what do I do with this? So they've got unlimited support access to me. So they send me these little messages, and when they message me and say, this is happening, this is what I'm going to do with it, and this is how I'm going to do it, that's when I go, fuck yes. That's why I do what I do, because these people have now got the tools, the systems, the strategies to cope and roll with their business.
Yeah.
And that's the vicarious joy. They're the things that I go, that's why I do what I do.
All right. So this is episode number 6.
Okay.
And I haven't explained that we are in the Assertive Media studio. There's been no right hooks in any of my episodes so far. So Gary V will be very happy with me. But I had this dream of having this rebrandable video podcast studio for a few years, and now I have it. Now I've been told by some potentially new mentors that it's a new thing, that I don't have any competition. That's a great thing at the moment, or not much competition. I don't know, you may think otherwise.
I'll find some.
But I haven't found a video podcast studio, rebrandable video podcast studio as of yet. But the not so great thing is that I don't have much to gauge, what my offerings should be, what my packages should be, what competition is doing. Not that I need to be too aware of that.
Just know where they are on the field.
But now, so this is a matter of weeks that I've had this studio up and running. What advice would you give to me in finding my target audience. Now I've done some work, and like I'm not stupid. I've done some work in finding. Tony Moore, shut up, you. Keep pressing buttons. So what advice would you give to me?
Go into research phase. So go into researching your target audience, where they hang out. So what other things to tie you together with that audience, and where can you get access to them? That's the first thing, is to find out where they are first, and then start playing on the field that they're playing in. So for women, it's a lot easier actually, because we have these connected and clicky Facebook groups where everyone gets in and chats and does all of that.
Yep.
But there's a lot of ways that you can then put it out there, and it depends. So if you want to work with a photographer, for example, you were talking about your photographer, working with that person, you can collaborate with another person, and this is where I mind map. This is where I start to get out my little whiteboard. Actually, all my walls were whiteboarded, so I could just walk up and write on them. It was really cool. And start with that little circle of, this is your business here. These are the people that you want to get to. So how many people you can write down, as many as you humanly possibly can. And you'll start selecting out of those people. How do you get to those people? What method and what do you want to offer? What's the offerings that you could put into place for them? We write it all down. And then have a look at what's possible and not possible. And you start to pick off all those little things, and we work. Let's start with that. Right, how can we get to these people? How do we talk to them? Do we do it as a presentation? Do we invite them in? Do we do one night where we invite all these people down and go, hey, this is our studio. We really want you to be part of this. And invite them in. Do you send an email newsletter out? So all the options on what's possible, and then we work through, right, which one do we want to do? What can we do now with what we've got? If you've got a budget to put together, what else can we do? One of the things that I say to my clients a lot when they come to me with in little doovadars with my fingers, there's an opportunity that's come up. Highest and best use of your funds. So what is going to give you the best return on investment for the money you're going to invest? And if the opportunities sometimes are not opportunities, if they're not going to bring you what you would potentially use that funds for somewhere else. So you might find that Facebook and Instagram ad works well for you, targeting people that are looking at podcasts. You can use AI technology now to scrape data off the internet and give you all of the top podcasters in Melbourne. Like, there's so many ways to do this. And it's about putting those ideas down into paper, and then working through those ideas and creating a strategy from there. And then with that strategy, you create a plan, and then you execute. So, and that one thing at a time. We're not going to tackle everything. And then we work through that. Once we've got that nutted out, or we review and revise it to make sure that it's working or it's not, move on to the next thing and the next thing.
So I've started with networking, hence why I've brought you on. And this is my 6th podcast, and I have, I think, 3 more lined up for this week. So that's one strategy, is to just network, get people on. Because I built the machine, I'm like, now I need to turn it on. Right. So networking is one. And then through some of the people I've met through that networking, they've given suggestions of, well, why don't you run workshops here? Why don't you teach? You have a teaching background.
Write it down.
Why don't you teach? Do that. Okay, and then I've got obviously the output of this, what we're doing here, repurpose content onto social media. So there's
so many ways.
It's starting to, but I'm still I'm putting the feelers out there, but not even necessarily knowing who my target audience is completely, and trying to find that out as I go, because this is a new kind of space.
You might have quite a few different target audience groups. So if you've ever had a look at, I can't remember his name now, I think it's David someone, Value Graphics. So I'm very much about value-based demographics, as opposed to Sally is 23 and she has 2 kids and she's married, because that rules out people that aren't married or don't have children. So I would rather look at the values associated with the business people that you're talking about, and saying, right, well, how do I get into there? Do I join a B&I group? Do I, look at the options? And this is why I love mind mapping, is because we actually extract all of that information out and have a look at all of the options that are possible. And we start working out, well, what can I do? How can I work with that? And then putting it together. So you might have 4 different options for 4 different demographics. You might have a startup option, which is an hour, and it's this cost, and this is what you get for it. You might have a top end option for those people that are going, I just want to pay someone to do it, all my editing and all my everything else. So there's lots of options for you to consider
Yeah.
what packages you could put together. So I kind of work a
Right.
bit backwards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, let's gather all this and let's gather all these pieces of information and then work out how we can glue them together.
Yeah. And I
then
think
work
that's
that way.
awesome. Thanks for that, by the way. And I think that's awesome that you're actually rolling your sleeve, like that's what it sounds
In the
like. You're
dirt.
actually rolling your sleeves up, getting gritty, and working out, well, how is this actually going to work? And if I think about, I think life coaches or business coaches or any types of coaches or consultants, I think it's a great thing, can really help a business. But I don't know if there's many that actually really get into the nuts and bolts of the business and give that the clarity, the strategy, and actually helping with the execution. Like, I don't
what I love.
hear that much.
And I'm a very resourceful little person, so my brain is always busy. So I love learning from my clients. So I love being able to get in the dirt with them and go, oh, how do I make that work? What's that about? And learning more as well. So the more I do, the more I learn. 30 years of being in marketing and customer experiences and watching it evolve as we evolve with technology and those types of things as well. And I think marketing over the last 2 years has changed significantly as well. You've got businesses that thrived in COVID that are now shutting down. You've got major businesses that can't cope. So there's so many things here, and keeping up with the tech, keeping up with the what's possible and being able to roll with that's really, really important. And working with so many different industries. People sort of said to me, you're going to stick to skincare. I'm like, well, no, because business foundations are business foundations. Yeah. It's essentially, skincare is what I know. So if someone asked me something the other day about I had an inquiry today from someone going, can you help me with this in FMCG? Yeah, I can help with that. That's my knowledge base, but the foundations are the foundations. How do we break it apart? And I am a resourceful little Vegemite. So sort of sitting there going, how do we? And I had to be, because we were a tiny, tiny fish in a big pond. My competitors, my whole entire turnover was like their kitchen budget, It was their coffee budget. So we had to be resourceful. We had to find ways to do what we do in the best functioning way. So, and one of my mentors will always say to me, it's not what you take, it's not what you make, it's what you keep that makes the difference. So everyone sort of looks at this revenue and says, woohoo, I've made $1,000, I've made $1 million or whatever else. But how much of that are you actually keeping? Yeah. How much of that is going back in the business? How much of that is net profit? How much of that is actually working for you? And this is what businesses don't get, is that money side. Yeah. So, understanding that from what you're putting together. So if I was working with you, I would do a numbers game with you, and we would actually break it down and work out.
I've got a spare couple of hours if you want to.
This is the thing. People will say to me, can you give me one tip? And I'm like, oh God, that's like saying, I can't give one tip. Tips are really hard because it's not a 5-minute thing. But we would actually sit down and work out the margins associated, what your cost of goods are, what the cost of doing business is, and we calculate it all in then work out, well, hang on a sec, how much do I want to make from? You might decide that the small startups, I'm actually not going to make as much on that as I would be from the higher guys. Yeah. And that's totally fine. So it's about working out the target audience, what your break-even points are, what is it that you need to make your business work. I think it's off the top of my head, rough figures is around 35% minimum gross net profit you need to make to actually make any business profitable. Yeah. If you're under that, pretty rare that you'll survive. You'd have to have like volume turnover for that to be a possibility. So making sure that side of things in line with your package together. So a lot of people will come to me and go, I've got this product, it's amazing. Oh my gosh, I want to do wholesale and I sell it at this price. I go, you have no margin to do wholesale. Yeah. You're going to have to double your retail price. And they're like, well, I can't do that. That's why it's really important at the start of the journey to understand where you want to be at the end. And then you factor all of your margins in there. So if you want to go to grocery, for example, there's like 7 margins you need to consider. There's trading term discounts. There's settlement they want a discount for paying you on time. There's rebates that you need to consider. So did you know that every time a product has a sale in Coles or Woolworths, probably shouldn't have said that, but you can that dollar off the supplier pays for. Coles doesn't.
Oh,
so
right.
It comes off invoice. So if I've sold $30,000 worth of goods to Coles and then had a dollar off, that dollar will come off that 30,000 each. Wow. So these are the things that people don't understand, and this is when we're in research phase of saying, let's understand what margins we're working with and what we need to allow for when we're putting together our cost of doing business. And that is something that's not considered very often.
It's so involved, isn't it? And then all
Hugely
of that,
involved.
when you embark on all of that, you need to be prepared that like this is going to be your life for X amount of years, and somehow like marry that at the start with your sense of purpose and fulfillment, you know. And it's
100%.
it's like the stars aligning for that to happen. So if you speak to someone who's at the starter, is that kind of what you start with? If someone's at the startup phase, you're like, okay, just check. Are you actually
10,000 hours, I think
how
they say.
passionate about this are you? Like, is that a question you ask?
I do. And people look at me like a deer in a headlight sometimes.
But this can make lots of money. This is a, you know, this is a golden, this is a
Everyone tells
golden,
me that.
this is a golden goose.
Everyone keeps telling me that. Everyone keeps asking me, when are you doing group work? And I'm just like, oh, I just enjoy working one-on-one. But this is the thing. They say 10,000 hours is what it takes to master what you're doing and to enjoy what you're doing. And if you cannot fathom what you're doing for the next 10,000 hours, which is what, 10 years, 5 years or whatever else, don't do it. So if you're after the quick fix, don't do it. Go and get a job. And that's the same with people saying to me, but I can't raise the price. Then you have a very expensive hobby. You know, are you running a hobby or a business? Let's and as I said, I do my life like a business. I break it all down. I do it all and I strategize my life. So with that side of things, if you're not interested in saying, I don't want to do this in 10 years, holy crap, don't start it. So it's harsh
advice.
words to some people, though. Some people are quite like, I've destroyed their dream. They, no, I'm going to go and work with a coach over there that promised me step 1, step 2, step 3 and $1 million. And I'm like, well, good luck with that. Enjoy the process.
Yeah, that's right. Enjoy doing what you don't love for the next 10 years.
I know, right? But that's why I work out with them too. So we work through what is it that you enjoy in your business? What don't you enjoy? And how the hell can we make that happen that you don't have to do it? So what do we have to turn over? What do we have to do to outsource that particular part of your business?
I hate hosting podcasts. Lane? No, I'm kidding. I'm actually really loving it. It's weird for me to be on this side of the camera after 10 years or plus on the other side of the camera, but I'm actually really loving this. So I probably outsource the camera work, to be honest.
And this is why I love strategy work. This is why moving into this space now, I'm saying I'm a business strategist, and now people keep telling I'm a life strategist. So a business and life strategist is the direction I'm moving in because I help people create strategies to go forward and then plan them and execute. I don't do the work, but I get in the dirt with them. So, and they have to make decisions. The amount of people that say to me, can you just know? I cannot. You need to make these decisions. You need to assess it. Let's put a flow in place, or a flow tree, a decision tree, whatever you want to call it, in place for you to make those decisions and teach them and empower them to actually make the decisions themselves.
You know what I do sometimes? If I've got a friend or someone who can't make a decision, like they're 50-50, and I say, get a coin out, and I say, now, no matter what it lands on,
I know
you have to do it, right? And then they flip it, they get it, and they're like, how did you feel? And then they know.
Yes,
it's like they know. But you can only do it once with that person. It only worked once. But that's awesome. Is there anything else that you think that we haven't covered that people know?
No,
think,
I don't think
think
so.
we're good? Think
no,
we're good?
Just don't fall for what society tells you need to have. I don't have a website. Lane's going to yell at me. But I operate by referral at the moment, and I don't have a website. You don't wait till you're ready, because if you're going to wait till you've got all the ducks in a row, it's never going to happen. Just start with what you've got right now and then go from there, and then do it gradually, step by step by step, until you have more, and then
awesome. And so what's next for you? What's happening next? I've got no idea, and I love it. Is that your answer?
I took so my whole life fell apart 3 years ago, and I'm now of the ilk that life does not have a destination. It has a journey, and I'm going to enjoy the journey I'm on. And if it changes direction, I'm just going to flow with that. So at the moment, I am still doing. I'm working with clients one-on-one. And then I'm moving into this space where I've been asked to contribute to the higher end wealth side of things, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. There's some pretty cool names in there. I'm not allowed to say, sorry. But it's really exciting for me. So I'm just rolling with it. Do I know what I'm going to do in 12 months' time? No. I'm just going with the flow and living in the moment and being in the now. Have I got plans for where I want to go in 12 months? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I know that it may change, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's okay.
If people want to contact you,
Yes. Go to my Instagram. My Instagram is the easiest place to contact me because, as you know, I don't check my LinkedIn messages. But
yeah, I learned that.
yeah, so just Michelle Vogrinec at on Instagram.
On Instagram.
DM me. All good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to get you back in again.
Cool. We can
Episode
cover off any
12
specific
maybe.
So any specific topic you want to cover off, I can talk for hours.
No, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you for having me.
I'd love to have you back again.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool bananas.
That's a good grip too. That's a great grip.
I do karate.
Forgot.
I have a good grip. I can knock your head off. No.
All right. We good? Thank you for watching Game Plan for Good. Stay connected with us on social media to discover more game-changing stories and gain valuable business insights. All of our episodes are recorded in our Assertive Media studio in Melbourne.